Thank you, and I thank the Senator
from Washington.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thank the Senator from Minnesota for her leadership out here on the floor this afternoon, and it's great to join her and my other colleagues to come out and talk about the importance of judicial nominees, and particularly today because we're talking about the nomination of more female representation on the courts, which I think is incredibly important. You know, I served my first 2 years here in the Senate on the Judiciary Committee, and I was struck to find that I think at that time may have been like the 4th woman in the whole history of our country to be on the Judiciary Committee. And now I'm so proud that my colleague from Minnesota serves on that committee and does an excellent job, and that we have other representation as well. But the point is, you know, you have to ask yourself, we need to get women elected. Do we have to get women elected to the United States Senate, to get women on the Judiciary Committee, to get women on the courts? Because our colleagues aren't going to help us do that. I'm rising today to support moving these nominations. President Obama has nominated Cornelia Pillard and Patricia Millett, and we want to see these vacancies filled. We don't want the same dysfunction that led to a government shutdown to let us move towards a kind of a stopping of putting people on the court. Nominating highly qualified individuals is what the president's job is. And filling seats on the court is not packing the court. It is simply doing the job. On October 31st, 2013, many of my colleagues voted against a motion to end debate on Patricia Millett to be a judge on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. And she is a very highly qualified attorney who has argued before the Supreme Court 32 times and is recognized both by Democrats and Republicans for her legal acumen. But despite her qualifications, her nomination is being blocked. She has been, had she been confirmed, she would only be the 6th woman to sit on the D.C. District Court of Appeals. So I'm questioning why we're at the place that we are now on this nomination. Professor Nina Pillard is another filibuster nominee who's argued historic cases before the Supreme Court, including a case to open up the Virginia Military Institute to women for the first time in history, and a case defending the family and medical leave law. The American people want to know, why are these qualified female judges being blocked? Just 32% of the U.S. appeals court judges are women. So in my opinion, it's time to move forward with more highly qualified nominees to add diversity to the courts. I've not heard any of my colleagues question the credentials of these nominees. In fact, Ms. Millett has been called, quote, a brilliant mind, a gift for clear, persuasive writing, and a genuine zeal for the rule of law. So this is not a quote that I just read by a Democratic senator or a liberal think tank. That quote is from former Special Prosecutor Kenneth Starr in a letter with 6 other Solicitor Generals, top lawyers who've served in both George H. Bush and George W. Bush and Clinton administrations, basically saying, quote, equally important, she is an unfailingly fair-minded, end quote. That is from Mr. Starr. So the D.C. Circuit Court currently has 4 judges chosen by Democratic presidents and 4 by Republicans. There are 3 vacancies on the court, and Republicans are arguing that to fill these vacant seats, that we shouldn't do that, just eliminate them. And I think my colleague from Minnesota just spoke to this. This is a proposal that is even opposed by Chief Justice John Roberts, who argues that the D.C. Circuit Appeals is like many of the federal courts and is operating in a state of crisis. So he said, quote, based on our current caseload methods, the D.C. Circuit Court should continue to have 11 judgeships. So we need a court that is fully staffed, and the primary responsibility of this court is the handling of cases involving federal regulations on environmental safety, healthcare reform, and insider trading. So to me, we should trust that our judicial branch can nominate and get justices on the court that basically will look at the law and not party affiliation, and stop obstructing people who I believe are qualified to be on the court. So I hope that we can move forward. Ms. Millett is the second female nominee opposed by Republicans after the nomination of Georgetown professor Nina Pollard was filibustered. However, she joins a long list of judicial nominees who happen to be female who've been opposed, not because of their qualifications, but because they were nominated by this president. And I will submit that list for the record, Madam President. So I hope that this discussion today points out the need that we need more women on the courts. And maybe we also need more women elected to the United States Senate so we can make sure that we get more women on the courts. But this is about today asking my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to look past this court. Do not try to diminish it by narrowing its focus. Get more people who will support qualified women so we can have the diversity in America that we need represented on our courts, even at the D.C. District Appeals level. I thank the President and I thank my colleague from Minnesota for arranging for all of us to be here today to share our views.